ate noodles with no packet. Cereal with the can.
Something is happening in hip-hop right now that nobody can fully explain. Rappers who built their entire careers on being anti-establishment are suddenly lined up behind a president that most of them publicly hated just 5 years ago.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo-ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it?
And everybody's entitled to their own political opinion, but it begs the question, why now, and why so publicly? In 2018, Nicki Minaj went on social media and talked about how she came to the United States illegally at 5 years old. She directly called out Trump's family separation policy.
I couldn't imagine a little child going through all of that trying to get to another country because they didn't have money in their country, or, you know, whether you're fleeing from war, whatever it is, and then being taken away from the one person that makes you feel comfort, you know? That is what really raised me out.
So she came here illegally at 5 and admitted it, and yet still is in the country? Wow. I guess privilege is real.
I was like, this is something about this doesn't sit right in my spirit.
Now fast forward to January 2026, the same woman is standing inside the Treasury Department holding Donald Trump's hand, calling herself his #1 fan, and then Trump gave her the $1 million gold card, which he says fast-tracks your immigration visa. But what he's not telling you is the gold card is basically worthless. A Homeland Security official told the New York Times that the gold card was basically a novelty item with no legal standing. Plus, Nicki has already been a permanent resident for almost 20 years. It just doesn't make sense. And then Snoop Dogg in 2017 threatened to blacklist any rapper who touched a Trump stage. But then in 2025, he performed at the Crypto Ball to celebrate Trump's inauguration. See, when I started digging into this, I found something that goes back way further than MAGA, further than politics. I found a business strategy that's been running for almost 40 years. My search led me to a book that Trump wrote in 1987, where he basically lays out exactly how he operates.
The Art of the Deal? Oh, wow, you guys. This is fantastic. This is great. You know why this is great? Because this all leads me back to when I watched this little film called The Apprentice. It came out probably around 2023, I'm sure, or 2020. But it's this biopic about Donald Trump. It's not something that was major on the mainstream scene, but it's just this movie. It's pretty well done, actually. It's got the guy from Succession in it. He plays Robert Cohen, but yeah, check out this movie. It shows you the rise of Donald Trump, how he became who he was, the nasty people that he was working with, but then how he also essentially became nastier than all of the people he was working with. Stepping over toes, stepping over this. And in the movie, it's quoted to say that Andy Warhol is the one that gave Donald Trump the idea about the art of making money, right? Making money is an art form, and so essentially Andy Warhol tells him that I make whatever sells. Anything that makes money, I make it. Essentially is his whole thing, right? Because we all know how much of a capitalist Andy fucking Warhol is, right? God rest his soul. So he learns this and such. When the guy asks him what should be the title of the book, which this man is holding right now, Donald Trump then proceeds to say, The Art of the Deal. Because he says he loves making deals. I love deals. I love them so much. They're so good. We love deals. Deals are good.
And when you read it, you realize he's been running the same playbook on the music industry for decades. In chapter 2 of The Art of the Deal, he lays out exactly how he approaches every negotiation, relationship, and transaction in his life. He writes, leverage is the biggest strength you can have. Leverage is having something the other guy wants, or better yet, needs. Or best of all, simply can't do without. So basically, you find what somebody needs and use it to create loyalty. But why rappers? And why would he need leverage from any musician? Well, the answer is influence. Since 1989, Trump has been name-dropped in over 300 rap songs. Rick Ross mentioned them in 9 different songs. Nas referenced them 7 different times. Migos, Young Thug, Lil Wayne, Raekwon, they all threw around Trump's name the same way they do with cars and luxury brands. Rappers were saying things like, stacking paper like Trump, and guess who's the black Trump? And I'm Donald Trump in a white tee. But here's the part that nobody ever puts together. Trump wasn't just a name that rappers dropped in songs. He was actually a mover and shaker in the music business itself. Back in the 80s and 90s, Trump owned multiple casinos in Atlantic City. Trump Plaza, Trump Castle, and the Trump Taj Mahal.
Trump Castle and Trump Taj Mahal. This guy isn't full of himself, man. What is that? That has to be the stupidest. But then again, Trump was never a good business person, bro. He's like a good socialite, you know? And that's the reality of the situation there, boys.
Atlantic City was the East Coast Vegas, and Trump's properties were at the forefront for live entertainment. One of their main budget items was concerts and shows. Mike Tyson was fighting at Trump properties. Major artists like James Brown and the Rolling Stones, they performed. In the late 80s and 90s, Trump's casinos were a pretty big gig. But the bridge between Trump and specifically hip-hop was none other than Russell Simmons, the co-founder of Def Jam Records and one of the pioneers of hip-hop as an industry. And for over 30 years, he was one of Donald Trump's closest friends.
And I've been his friend. I've been back and forth to Mar-a-Lago on his plane so many times. I've been on his helicopter so many times. I was there on his first date with Melania. I mean, I've always been his friend until he ran for president. Instantly.
You were on his first date with Melania?
Yeah.
And this matters because Russell Simmons was a gateway for him. Trump got a feature on Method Man's album in 98, and in 94, Trump and Marla Maples appeared on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Thank you for ruining my life.
Ashley!
What did you do?
Everybody's always blaming me for everything.
Trump became a part of hip-hop's culture, and he was walked in by one of hip-hop's most powerful figures. Now, eventually, Russell Simmons cut Trump.
It's because he understands the thing that is super important, and it's the same playbook actually that Elon Musk is playing as well. Just people in general of the higher up, they understand the power of influence, because influence can't be bought. That's not true. The person who was able to buy influence actually was Elon Musk when he bought Twitter. That's the reason why he bought Twitter. It's for the ability to control media and influence, because let's face it, Twitter is one of the most influential platforms compared to all the other platforms. When news moves, it moves first on Twitter. They're like a first mover when it comes to news. But essentially, yeah, so Trump is getting himself involved with all these shakers and movers, shaking hands with them, being seen with them, being beside them. The same way when a rapper has a girlfriend and she starts hanging around him and starts being in the music videos, we all start asking, who is this shorty? Because it's intrigued, because they're around these people of status. And that's the same idea that Trump is sort of doing, right? Like earlier on, right? More so.
Off as soon as he ran for president.
He was always very kind to me and my brother. He's a very likable person. But I just don't think he's a suitable person for presidency, right?
But it was too late. Trump already got what he wanted out of him. The next connection really surprised me because nowhere was Trump more connected to the music industry than with Michael Jackson. What most people don't realize is how close Trump and Michael actually were. They met at Madison Square Garden in '88, and in 1990, Michael was at the grand opening of the Trump Taj Mahal. And Trump said something that I want you to remember for later. He said, if I ever needed him, he'd always be there. Very loyal to his friends. That same month, they were flying together on private jets. They traveled in a motorcade together. And in 1994, Michael rented out an apartment in Trump Tower while he was recording the History album. He was living floors below the Trump penthouse and would actually watch TV with his family. Michael even mentioned Trump's name in his song called Money. So now, Trump has another high-profile friend in the bag. But who wouldn't want to be friends with the greatest entertainer of all time? But the next connection is where the waters really start to get muddy. From 1997 on, Trump and Diddy were everywhere together. The U.S. Open, the grand opening of Diddy's restaurant, Justin's, Diddy's 29th birthday party. Trump also attended one of Diddy's infamous white parties in the Hamptons. The two were tight.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that
Oh,
question.
wow. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
The point is, by 2014, Trump had spent nearly 3 decades building relationships with the most powerful people in music. He was their landlord, he was their casino host, their party buddy, their symbol of wealth. And not only that, everyone loved him. But then
If you're going to be somebody of status, one key thing that you always have to remember is you have to be the host of the party. You have to be the one that invites people of status to your things that you're doing, right? So if you're the host of the party, people will always want to be around you because you're the one creating the ambiance, you're the one creating the fun that everyone can get involved with, right? He's not asking these, you see how he's moving around with these musicians? He's not asking them for things. He's creating environments to put them in that then puts what? Money in their pockets. Whether it's the casinos having them do events there, then the artist gets paid. It's like, oh, come play at my venue. Boom, artist gets paid. Come do this. I'm gonna show up here. He moves very strategic like.
he ran for president, and everything changed.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
Could he actually win?
No freaking way.
Trump will not be president.
Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
You're not going to be
We're
president.
fucking talking about a madman, incompetent buffoon being the most powerful man on earth.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
The crazy thing about him being president is that he's literally a reality TV star, and you guys made him president. I mean, hey, he's showing you the playbook.
Brace for impact. New York Times now saying the chance of a Trump presidency is 92%. Brace for impact.
Right now, a historic moment. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency.
This man is arrogantly marching us towards fascism.
He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot.
You're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now.
Trump's game plan was starting to crack. By the time he was in office, most of Trump's mentions in rap songs were negative. YG and Nipsey Hussle dropped FDT, and dozens of artists started sending cease and desist letters demanding Trump stop playing their music at rallies. Trump's strategy of having influential friends wasn't quite working the way he thought. He needed a new game plan. Now, the first rapper to come out in full support of Trump was Kanye. But he doesn't really count because Kanye, he just goes against the grain just to go against the grain. He does shock value just for the hell of it. And even Trump distanced himself from him when Kanye became a liability to his image. So even that relationship was transactional. But Trump's real game plan came around the end of his first term. By 2020, Trump had lost most of his entertainment industry support. But remember, Trump doesn't need friends. He needs leverage. And on his way out of the White House in 21, he found the most powerful leverage the music industry has ever seen.
And new this morning, ahead of leaving the White House, President Trump has issued his final list of presidential pardons and commutations. Other notable names on the list include rappers Lil Wayne and Kodak Black.
And if you look at who got him, it looks random, but if you follow the music industry, it's not random at all. Lil Wayne got full presidential pardon.
So this is why all those pardons started happening, dude. I'm telling you, there's nothing for nothing. You're not like, no one is like, especially this guy. Like what reason would this weird like white guy, old man white guy have with the music industry, dude? He wouldn't. The only, like, you know what I mean? He understands that he needs their demographic in his pocket, which is the same way a brand attaches themselves to a content creator is to tap into their demographic, right? To get access to this person's demographic, to have the influence on their demographic for whatever sort of scheme the guy needs later on. And so this is going to show you, oh, you think he just pardoned Lil Wayne and freed A$AP Rocky and all these people just because for the fun of it? No, bro, because he needed the influence of the rap community back again. And what's the one thing that niggas are always doing? Landing themselves in fucking jail, bro.
Wayne had pleaded guilty to possessing a firearm as a convicted felon. He was facing 10 years in prison. But ever since Trump pardoned him, he's been showing support, publicly endorsing him. Now, Lil Wayne's attorney told the New York Times that the weapons charge wasn't the reason for Lil Wayne's support. But in the same breath, he said it may have ultimately been a factor. His own lawyer basically admitted the connection while technically denying it. Then you got Kodak Black. Kodak Black was serving 46 months for falsifying firearm purchase forms. And then Trump gave him a commutation which lowered his sentence, and he was released immediately. Since then, Kodak has shown loyalty nonstop, appearing at Trump rallies, rapping on Trump anthem songs.
Trump a real one, you know, be Geminis. So Trump know what's up. I mean, we both are Geminis. His birthday 2 days after mine. He be down here and stuff, Palm Beach.
Now, Kodak, he's Haitian, right? And even when Trump was making comments about Haitians eating cats and dogs, Kodak still stood behind him. But that's how deep the loyalty runs when someone can keep you out of jail. Now, someone you might not know, Desiree Perez, also got a full pardon. She was the CEO of Roc Nation, Jay-Z's company. She was pardoned for a narcotics conspiracy conviction. Now, why would a Roc Nation executive randomly get a presidential pardon? Now, most recently, Trump pardoned NBA YoungBoy on gun charges, but this next one was really the tipping point. Michael Harry O'Harris is another hip-hop mogul that the average person may not be familiar with, but he co-founded Death Row Records with Suge Knight and sold drugs so he could make money to start businesses. And in 2021, Trump got him released from jail and eventually fully pardoned. Now, Harry
Damn, those are some like low-key pardons I did not know about. Shout out, God damn, shout out to Trizzy, bro. Trizzy Tizzy.
Has deep ties and a lot of respect in the music industry as the co-founder of Death Row Records. But guess who's running Death Row now? In 2017, Snoop threatened to roast any rapper who performed for Trump.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck out of one of you Uncle Tom ass niggas for doing it. Which one of you niggas gonna do it first? Ozzy's the one that performs for himself.
The same year, he released a music video where he pointed a gun at a clown dressed as Trump. But after Michael Harry O'Harris gets clemency from Trump, Snoop's tone starts to shift. By 2024, he's telling the Sunday Times, I have nothing but love and respect for Donald Trump. And in January 2025, Snoop performs at Trump's inaugural crypto ball in Washington, D.C. The same man who threatened to roast any rapper.
Good God. Be careful how we talk tough on the internet, gang. Be careful how we talk tough on the internet because quickly it can all shift and not in your favor.
Perform for Trump. Perform for Trump. And what was Snoop's response for getting all the backlash? He said, he ain't done nothing wrong with me. He has done only great things for me. In other words, leverage. I scratch your back, scratch my back. Let's call it the Trump loyalty program.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
You know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you,
sir. And it's hard. I don't know. It's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
Now, the pardon strategy only works for rappers with legal troubles. But what about the rappers who just need a check? 50 Cent said Trump's team offered him $3 million to perform at the Madison Square Garden rally.
Is it true Donald Trump tried to give you money to endorse him one time?
Yeah, and they offered me $3 million.
To perform?
At the RNC or this past Sunday?
This past Sunday.
At $3 million. Mm-hmm. And then they offered you money for the Republican National Convention too, right?
He turned it down, but the offer of $3 million shows us what the going rate is for a major hip-hop cosign. Trick Daddy, he claimed on his radio show that Nelly got $1.5 million for performing at the inauguration. And Soulja Boy, he was seen flashing a bunch of cash after performing at the crypto ball.
Obama ain't never put no money in my pockets, nigga. Kamala ain't never put no money in my pockets, nigga. Trump put money in my pockets, nigga.
This nigga Soldier Boy, dude. Oh shit, dude. Okay. So, oh man, you know what? Soldier Boy is one of those people where we wouldn't. I don't think as a community we would really give a fuck where he performed. You know what I mean? Like, we're just happy to see the kid just up on stage, making money, living his life. We're just happy that he still has a career. You know what I mean? I think because like he was such like an inspiration for all of us and really like get it out the mud type situation. So we're just happy that he has a career. So Soulja Boy can perform for Trump. We're not really gonna bash him for anything political, but it's it's funny, bro. That's hilarious.
For contrast now, at Obama's 2009 inauguration, the creative director said the artists were invited to perform and didn't get paid. So if Trump's team is paying above market rates for performances, that's a big incentive for artists, no matter what their political views are. And by the way, this isn't something new for Trump. The FEC confirmed in 2015, when he first announced that he was running for president, his campaign literally paid actors $50 each to attend the announcement. Wear a t-shirt, carry a sign, cheer. The Hollywood Reporter obtained the casting call email from a company called Extra Mile Casting. He was paying people to fake enthusiasm from day one. So you got struggling artists who need a check.
These are all classic strategies of media manipulation, okay? There's this book that I'm currently reading that talks about this guy who manipulated the blog. He was really big during the blog era, right? So he would manipulate. If there was a movie that came out, he would create the story around it. But this is also a tactics that were used way back in the day for, I believe, I can't remember the name of this modeling agency, but they would essentially artificially inflate what we would call views today, right? They would essentially generating the news. They would have models lined up outside of their venues wearing the shirts of the modeling agency, and then the guy who would manipulate the news, he would create some sort of fake news story related to the movie that would then get these blogs posting it and reposting it. Even though the news was fake and wasn't real, it would get people then talking about the movie. So it's all about just faking it and faking the illusion, faking the perception, the public perception of what they believe to be. Hey, no one said this is a clean game.
You got rappers at the end of their career who need a check, and then you got the rappers who need to stay out of jail. I mean, hate it or love it, it's honestly genius. But there's one more piece to the puzzle. The one big, beautiful bill. Most A-list musicians make well over $500,000 a year, and Trump lowered the maximum tax rate from 40% to 37%. On top of that, he added an extra tax cut for people with LLCs and S-corps, which include rappers. Now that's good news for all business owners, but for rappers making millions a year, they're saving hundreds of thousands in taxes. So when Nicki Minaj pledges $300,000 to donate to Trump-branded savings accounts, she's invested into a system that could return multiples of that in tax savings alone. Not to mention she gets to write off the $300,000 off her taxes too.
Nicki makes a lot of money, and she's generously stepping up. She's investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in Trump accounts to support the children.
So for every single one of these relationships follows the same formula. The same formula Trump literally wrote down in 1987. What does the artist want? Freedom. That's the pardons. Money. That's the performance fees and tax cuts. Relevance, that's the political platform and the White House access. And what does Trump want? Credibility. Specifically cultural credibility, but even more specifically, black endorsement from famous rappers.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
Trump wrote in The Art of the Deal, you have to convince the other guy that it's in his best interest to make the deal. And that's the whole game. Every pardon, every payment, every gold card is Trump convincing artists that standing next to him is their investment. And for most of them, it is. Now, as another contrast, we can look at when Taylor Swift, she came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. She didn't get anything for it, as far as we know, but she risked alienating half of her audience for something that she believed in. But when rapper after rapper who previously condemned Trump, suddenly they show up at his events, performing at his parties, and every single one of them has received something in return, at some point, we gotta start asking questions. It's kind of ironic because rapping, singing, and writing music is one of the purest forms of art. But in the first line of Trump's book, he says, I don't do it for the money. I do it to do it. Deals are my art form. And Trump's been making deals in the music industry since the 80s, all the way back to his friendship with Michael Jackson. Now, we'll never know if Trump was genuinely friends with Michael, but right before Michael died, there was an email chain by a group of men that were definitely not Michael's friends. Now, the public was never supposed to see these emails, but I got access, and I break them all down in this next video here.
Right. Interesting. All right, well, that's it, guys. That's that. That was a good video. I like that.